Thank you. Thank you very much for coming out. It's good to be back in Portland, where I went to college. And I am, another Reedy who could never really get a full-time job and hold on to it. Anybody from Reed here? Huh, one. Okay, good. All right. Now I know, I had a hard time explaining this book when I was working on it because it sounded so weird to say, I'm writing a book that's attacking positive thinking. And it sounds so twisted and mean, like I'm taking a stand against whole grains and world peace or something. So I have to start with this little defensive note. I am not against having a nice day. I am not against smiling at strangers or partying as much as you want to. In fact, one of the recent books I wrote was a pretty serious historical book called Dancing in the Streets, A History of Collective Joy. So you can't call me a sourpuss. I wrote the book on joy. And what I'm talking about here is an ideology that is so pervasive in American culture that it's hard to even separate it out and put a name to it. It's the idea that you have to be positive, upbeat, cheerful, optimistic, and if you're not that way already, then you better work to make yourself happy, positive, cheerful, and upbeat. Now, I first encountered this kind of mandatory positive thinking 8 years ago when I was being treated for breast cancer. That diagnosis, of course, came as a terrible shock. I thought you had to have breasts to have breast cancer, but apparently not. My first impulse was to reach out to other women, and it's mostly women, of course, who get this disease, and for information and for support. So I went to all the websites I could. I ordered all sorts of books, and what I found was not support. What I found, first of all, and I have to say this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, those pink ribbons were everywhere. And one of the things very early on in my breast cancer experience, I was looking through a local newspaper and came across an ad for a pink breast cancer teddy bear. And for me, that was a very important existential turning point. Because I realized right then that I am not afraid of dying. I am afraid of dying with a pink teddy bear under my arm. And there's a huge amount of infantilization that goes on of breast cancer patients. It's one foundation in New York was giving out free tote bags to women who are undergoing breast cancer treatment. And I managed to get hold of one of these tote bags, though I was not in New York at the time. And it had some little rhinestone jewelry, it had some moisturizers, it had some cologne, and it had a box of crayons. So I called the foundation in New York, and I said, this is really very nice what you're doing with the tote bags, but what's with the crayons? And she said to me, well, that's in case you have any thoughts you want to write down about your experience. And I said, I am a writer. We don't use crayons anymore. I think men are treated with somewhat more dignity, at least when they're diagnosed with prostate cancer. They're not given gifts of Matchbox cars. The other thing I found, in addition to the pink ribbon stuff, is a kind of mandatory optimism everywhere I turned. The fact cancer isn't a problem. It's not even an annoyance. It's a gift in the ideology that surrounds it. There's a book called The Gift of Cancer, A Call to Awakening, which tells you that cancer is, quote, your ticket to your real life. You can order a T-shirt if you want from a company online that says, thank you, cancer. Now, I just want to say, if cancer is your idea of a gift, take me off your Christmas list, really. This is, at one point I went into on the Komen Foundation board. Now the Komen Foundation is the largest of the breast cancer organizations in America, and they, behind all these races and walks for the cure and everything. And I posted something on the message board under the subject line, angry. I do not think it was an insane rant. It was brief. I mentioned my fights with the insurance company. I said I thought that the current treatments are barbaric. The chemotherapy is barbaric, killing every dividing cell in your body, just hoping you get some of the cancer cells at the same time. I said, I am furious that we don't know the cause of this disease, which is epidemic in our society. We know it's got to have some environmental basis because it's a disease of industrialized countries, but we don't know what it is. And then I said something which is perhaps not so nice. I said, I am sick and tired of pink ribbons. I'm not down with the pink ribbon culture. And the kind of responses I got were like this one. A woman who wrote to me and said, Barb, you need to run, not walk, to get some counseling. No anger in this world. And, I came to understand that they were well-meaning, these people who were telling me to smile all the time about it. Because the dogma was, and it remains, that a positive attitude is essential to your recovery from cancer. And today, you hear it everywhere, not just in the case of breast cancer, any kind of cancer. You'll hear, you've got to be positive. Now, how does a positive attitude fight cancer? Well, this sounds, when I say this, it's going to sound so innocuous because you've heard it a million times, is that supposedly the positive attitude boosts your immune system so that the immune system can fight the cancer. We've all heard that, right? Well, as it happens, after Reed, I went on to get a PhD in cellular immunology. So don't mess with me with that kind of thing, In research for Bright-Sided, I was fortunate that there's very interesting new results out. But first of all, there's no evidence that the immune system fights cancer. There's a good reason for that. The immune system is set up to fight microbes, foreign invaders. Cancer, sadly, is your own cells gone crazy. Secondly, there is no evidence, although there's murky evidence on both sides of this, that a positive attitude boosts the immune system. Extreme stress is bad for the immune system, bad for the whole body. And that many lab animals have been tortured to death to prove that point over the years. More to the point, there are now meta-studies, studies of all the studies that have ever been done on these things, that establish that positive people are no more likely to survive cancer than anybody else. And that has been done now for breast cancer, lung cancer, throat cancer, and neck cancer. So there I was, though, in 2001, being told that if I didn't recover from this, it was essentially my own fault because I hadn't worked on my attitude enough. So that was my first encounter with mandatory positive thinking, and after I recovered from the treatments, I put it out of my mind. It just seemed like some bizarre aspect of the pink ribbon culture, I thought.